The story of the lighting of these candles begins over 2,000 years ago, when the land of Israel had been taken over by the Greeks, and they stopped the Jews from following in their traditional Jewish lifestyle and prayers. Antiochus IV had come to power after the death of his father. He wanted the Jewish people to follow the Greek religion and culture, and made it very hard for Jewish people to practice Judaism. He banned all Jewish religious study and festivals, and to force his religion on them, ordered the setting up of idols in all the town squares. He also had idols put inside all the synagogues throughout the land. Do you know what a synagogue is? Synagogue means meeting place from the Greek, a place where people meet together for prayer and other community activities. Under Jewish law, Jews could not worship idols or statues. Finally, Antiochus IV proved his point and power by placing a statue of the Greek god Zeus into the main temple in Jerusalem, the capital city of Israel. Do you know what a temple is? A temple is a place where people worship their own particular god. The Greeks stole all the treasures from the temple and burned the Torah, the prayer scrolls, to stop the Jews using them. There was a beautiful menorah or candelabra which stood in the centre of the temple and held the everlasting light, a flame that should burn at all times. The Greeks pushed the everlasting light to the ground, vandalising it, and the jars of specially blessed oil for the lighting of this flame. The oil spilled all over the floor and the flame was put out. Near the mountains to the north lived a Jewish leader called Mattaniah. He lived in a small village with his family and friends, and he refused to give in to the demands of Antiochus. He called upon all those in his village to help fight back against the Greeks. The Jews were not trained soldiers, but were very determined to do whatever they could to stand up for their beliefs and the freedom of the Jewish people. They called themselves the Maccabees, which means hammer. They left the village and moved into the nearby mountains, where there were many caves in which they could hide during the day. Life was hard for the Maccabees, as they were only farmers, shepherds, teachers and shopkeepers. They had no uniforms and very few weapons to help them. They attacked the Greeks at night, coming down from the mountains and fighting with them, taking their weapons and killing them. The Greek army was huge and the soldiers well trained. They even had elephants on which they rode into battle to fight against the Maccabees. The battles were long and hard. The task was very difficult for the Maccabees, fighting against this trained army, but their tactics proved to be the best. After many years of fighting, what seemed impossible at first slowly became a reality, and they beat the Greek army. They then drove what was left of the Greek army out of this part of Israel and made their way to Jerusalem and the temple. When they got to the temple, no time was wasted and the Greek idols were thrown out and the temple cleaned up in order to rededicate it to God. The word Hanukkah means rededication, and the Jewish people have remembered this moment in their history ever since. The temple menorah was repaired and a search was made to find some oil to relight it. The Greeks had been very thorough in their vandalism of all the items, and only a very small jar of oil still intact was found. They lit the oil, knowing that this small jar of oil for the everlasting light would only last one day. It would take 8 days before they could get any more oil to keep the flame alight. But by some miracle, this one small jar of oil lasted the 8 days, and until more oil had been gathered. This is the miracle of Hanukkah, and what Jewish people celebrate today. The message of Hanukkah is to not give up. This has been celebrated every year since by lighting the Hanukkah on the 25th of the Hebrew month of Kislev, which is normally during December. On that date in history, all the Greek items were removed from the temple and it was restored to the Jewish faith so that Jewish people could come and pray. When lighting the menorah, we start with one candle on the first night. This is by using the shamish. And we let that candle burn out. Then on each night, we light one extra candle using the shamish until on the 8th day, all the candles are lit. Hanukkah customs include eating fried foods, such as latkes or potato pancakes, and safkinots or donuts. Playing with the dreidel or spinning top. On the 4 sides are inscribed the Hebrew letters, a nun, a gimel, a hay, and a shin, which is short for the Hebrew words Nes Gadol Hayasham, or a great miracle happened there. Children play this game to win sweets or small toys. It is said, back in the times of Antiochus, when Jewish people were not allowed to practice Judaism, they used the game of dreidel to hide the fact that they were secretly studying Torah or prayer scrolls when they pretended to play with the dreidel. Another tradition is the giving of money or gifts or gelt or other presents each day. Thank you for listening to and learning about Hanukkah.